puts up a tough shot. Bounces around, goes in at the buzzer. Working it down to 2 on a deep three. Oh!
It's population.
That's how you win a game.
It's population. We hustle every day to find picks. You can tell us if you want to get rich. It's population. We robbing Underdog and PrizePicks. We the best in this biz. You ain't telling us shit. It's population. We love making money quick, fast. Cooking up a team card. The whole crew about to smash. It's population. We do it for the fam, so everybody let's cash. The dopest team you ever seen. Winning money, stacking G's. Bookies setting traps, but they'll never catch me. Some people get addicted like rats to the cheese, but I got one obligation to bring Johnny to his knees. Holding back the props till the morning he knows. They'll be fishing in the shack, plotting nukes with the bros. Only with crowd, never reload. Underrated to my amigos. We go with the honest, we seeking the bloods. We know when the fucking cheat code. Party that I'm sweating, it can't be good for my health. Some may call it making bets, I call it investing in myself. I'm picking props like stocks, population for the win. Got my sips in by the buzzer now, let the games begin.
Unbelievable. Just has it. He did it.
It's population. It's population. It's population. We do it for the fam, so everybody let's cash.
Yo, what is up, guys? We got E back here. Not sure how long you stay on for. It's got, I think, a heart out, but good to have you back, E. How you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing really well, man. Today went pretty successful, I think, for all of us, so can't complain there. How about yourself?
Yeah, today was great, man. Today was great. Yeah, let's recap. Let's recap real quick. We were all over Fox's fantasy. I talked about it last night on the stream. I can't believe I thought it would be at least 44.5 minimum, if not 45.5 in this matchup. He scared us in the beginning because Monk had a crazy first half, but he ended up clearing the fantasy in just real points. He had 44 real points, I think almost 60 fantasy, crushed that line. It was one of our top plays. Jared Allen, we loved his 1.5 dunks. We were on his first half PRA last night, and then it bumped to 17.5. Luckily, we got that value last night because he finished with 17. So he hooked the bump, got over the early value, and then the dunks, unfortunately, when they posted it, it didn't stay up that long. They took it down. But I think people got access to that in our Discord. Chet did his thing. He went absolutely off in the first half. Cleared both his first half fantasy and his dunk. And then Mo Wagner, what a legacy cover, man. The guy had 2 points going into the fourth quarter, barely got any run. And the reason we liked him is because we were thinking the Magic would kind of handle this game with ease and blow him out, and he gets that fourth quarter run. Luckily, he was playing well in the fourth quarter, ended up scoring 14 points in the fourth quarter, and he forced the coach to leave him out there, and so he got it done, all in the fourth quarter. And then Harden revenge game, he was a sweat as well, and then a lot of other props that we were on came through. Great day overall. We had a few misses. D'Lo, he ended up getting benched a lot in this game, just was not playing well, and Rui had himself a game today. 20 plus points. Really killed D'Lo. And then AD, he's a high risk, high reward kind of player. You don't know what AD you're going to get game to game. So something to keep in mind when you play his props. He's someone that needs that inner drive, self-motivation. He did not have it tonight. He had one of those typical AD games where he just is checked out mentally and was not involved. And then Drummond, he was killing it. He had 16 PRA. He got his points. But he fell short by 4 PRA. He almost got there. PrizePicks never gave him to us, but Underdog did at 19.5, and then they eventually bumped it to 20.5. But solid day overall. We hit a 6 pick with the Giddy promo here, all the plays we showed on the list, and a bunch of 4 picks as well with all the plays that we just showed. So really solid day. And yeah, let's dive into this. We got how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 or 8. Seven?
Yeah, 7 games.
All right. Let's talk about any initial leans you have here. I think key injury news. I think Luca's probable. We got some key guys out though tomorrow, right? We have Wemby's out versus the Kings, who are going to be back at home. We'll definitely touch on that. We won't get the Kings props because they're on a back-to-back. Won't get those till later, but man, absolute smash spot for Sabonis in the first half with Wemby out. And then Jaylen Brown's questionable. He got a second injury, so he's dealing with 2 injuries now. He's dealing with a knee injury and a pelvis injury. Back-to-back games, he got injured. I think D-Book remains out, and Cat is out for the T-Wolves, I believe. So, yeah, anything standing out to you on the board? I'm not fully dived in to it yet, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of interesting looks. They finally did give us quickly his RA. It's at 12.5, so it's a little bit higher. But I mean, he's just absolutely crushing the rebounds right now, and we're still gonna have the same guys are gonna be out, so same amount of usage. Be pretty tight between him and RJ Barrett.
Are you worried about the blowout?
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the blowout. I mean, they could hang around, but Phoenix being mostly healthy, minus D-Book, they're still a pretty dangerous team. So, I think there is definitely some blowout concern, but yeah, having the option for his RA is pretty interesting right now.
Yeah. Let's check the odds and see if it's gonna bump up or down potentially. It is currently even money line, so we'll see what it does in the morning. RJ opened with a little bit of juice. Man, last game he did not shoot from 3, right? He took like 2 threes. I think he went like 0-2. That was kind of surprising. But it's a good 3-point spot for all these Toronto guys because the Suns, they just, oh my gosh, did they give up threes? I think against the Nuggets, I think MPJ had 4. I think even Jokic had 4. Or no, he might end with 5, 4 or 5 threes for Jokic. There's no perimeter defense. Royce O'Neal keeps getting it done with the RA, so I don't mind that. I just worry about the blowout. If you want to take that, but yeah, that's one to consider with all the bricks going up from Toronto. He should be involved. And then Nurk, he should have himself a game, right, against Kelly O here. What's his first half PRA line at? That's high. Wow. So his first half fantasy last game was 16.5, and now his first half PRA is the same line. So I don't know. That's a lot for a guy who has low usage. But I mean, he should crush the glass tomorrow. It's just a matter of does the game go long enough, strong enough. Okay, and then see, a lot of these props we're not gonna have because of the back-to-backs or the Q tags, but I think the Heat Dallas game will be interesting. Is Rozier? Are they full go besides Hero?
And Kevin Love is still out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this should be a good up-paced matchup for the Heat, and Dallas' defense has been so bad lately. I saw a stat like over the last 2 to 3 weeks. So they've been like pretty much since All-Star break, one of the worst defensive ratings overall, especially in the paint. So Bam could have himself a day here. I would look out for his dunk prop. We just keep writing every time they give it to us at 1.5. There's no way they give it to us in this matchup. If they do, I'm taking it. I imagine they got to bump it to 2. I mean, he's averaging on the season 2.06 dunks. So that 1.5, if we get it in this matchup with no rim protection by Dallas, definitely consider it. And Jimmy should have himself a game here as well. And do we have Terry Rozier lines here? I mean, he's been getting it done playmaking too. It's a good rebound spot for him, so I'm curious what his RA is. So there's juice on the under. So we might get his RA at 9 flat. That would be interesting. Because, the Mavs with bleeding rebounds to guards from all the 3 balls. Any interest in the Heat guys or Luka, who just continues to crush his first half? Tougher matchup here, but the Heat, the perimeter defense, there's still a funnel defense where they give it up in the from 3 and from the perimeter. So if his 3 ball is landing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I never mind his first half. Probably PRA right now while it's at 27 flat. It's it is a pace down, but Luka's always dangerous whenever he's at home, so I do like that. And honestly, I'm still probably going to test the waters again, go back to Kyrie under that first half PRA again. They
solid correlation, right?
Yeah, and I mean, they have his full game line is even right now it's 34.5 PRA, but minus 120 for the under. So I don't know, man. He's been playing very average. I wouldn't even say he's playing bad, but he's playing very average. And Miami's look pretty solid. So as long as he's going to continue to take a backseat to Luka and even Hardaway Jr., he's been playing pretty solid off the bench again. So I don't mind that first half under. I think they'll bump it down probably to 17 flat. But I mean, he couldn't get it done in these primo matchups, so this isn't any easier.
Yeah. I agree. Let's backtrack to the T-Wolves Pacer game. With Cat being out, it's going to open up a lot of usage for these main guys like Ant and Gobert. I imagine slow-mo starts for him. He tends to start whenever one of the front court guys are out, and Gobert or Cat. So any interest? Indy still a funnel defense as well. Give it up inside. Any interest in Gobert? Or if Ant, man, is he so inconsistent? But if his shot's falling, I mean, the Pacers can't stop anyone right now. Their defense, speaking of bad defense, them and the Mavs. We saw what Luka just did to him. We saw what Brandon Ingram just did to him twice. Luka had 37 PRA in the first half. Can we trust Ant here with Cat being out in a soft matchup? And then any particular lines we should target? I think what's the spread? Imagine with Cat being out, it should be a close spread being an Indy. Yeah, 1.5 point total.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have a pretty fair amount of interest in Ant. You almost have to just for the free throw made upside. He should be slashing to the basket a lot here. And I mean, I would say ideally probably the PA is probably one of his better lines right now. I mean, he could easily go out and drop 30 to 34 real points here, and with no Towns being in, that's going to help him a lot. At least is just sheer volume usage overall. So I mean, again, like you said, we're banking on him to actually make his shots, but I have, I think, early interest there, but definitely look out for his free throw prop tomorrow. That should be something fairly low. He hasn't really been getting to the line a whole lot lately, but I mean, guys with high usage are just absolutely crushing it against Indiana and Detroit. So I definitely have some interest there. And keep an eye out for his first quarter points too. I mean, he just takes an unreal amount of field goal attempts in the first quarter.
Yeah, I like both those calls. Those are really good calls. I mean, Cat, he always competes with Cat in the first quarter, so with no Cat, he should definitely get it done. Let's see. I imagine with Cat being out, it's usually 8.5, but I imagine it's 9.5 today. Let's see.
Yeah, it's 8-5.
8.5. Okay, so we probably will get it at. If we get it, sometimes if the juice gets too high, they won't even give the players first quarter. But if we get it, it might, depending. If it gets up to 140 on first quarter props, they usually bump it, or they just won't give it to us. So don't mind that. Sometimes with him though, he can be a slow burn, and it takes some time to get into rhythm. So I'm with the free throw, and yeah. The fantasy too, because he'll rack up stock. So depending on what his fantasy line is, and then Gobert, man, it's Gobert, but he should really get it done with the rebounding here with Cat out, and then Nasri, look out for his lines if they're not too juiced. I think they'll lean on him a lot with Cat out. He might get a little bit extended run off the bench with Cat out, and if his three ball's falling, he should get his points or PR pretty easily. Anything from Indy here? I never like attacking Minnesota, but man, their defense is not the same as of late. And Gobert been able to attack him. But Indy offensively, they just looked really bad, right? Like Neesmith, I don't even know why he's in the rotate. I don't even know why he starts. I mean, he's just been atrocious. And Nembhard, I mean, he's just the guy who's gonna make a couple buckets, take about 6 to 8 shots total in the game, not do much, get a few assists. And then I don't know what's up with Halliburton. I mean, he's not the same. I don't know if it's injuries, multiple injuries he's been dealing with, the hamstring all season, but he's not the same. Only one really carrying him is Miles Turner, right? But this is not the best spot for him unless his three ball's falling.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be tough. And on top of all that, we have Benedict Mathurin. He's already ruled out for tomorrow, so that extra spark plug off the bench, they're going to be missing that here. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, Halliburton, he's not playing well at all right now. His usage is still, fairly about the same, mid 20s, give or take, depending on the minutes. But it's been pretty much, Miles Turner and then sprinkling Siakam and whoever else behind him. So, you probably could go back to the first quarter points if they give that to us again at 4.5. I think he's hit that for like 8 or 9 games in a row now. It's a very tough matchup for him, I will say. I think for me, for Turner, I'd be looking for his first quarter or his first half full game fantasy line, because he could definitely get some stocks here on Rudy or Nas, whatever overlap he has between that. But yeah, man, it's tough. I feel like now that they're playing back in Indy, Halliburton could definitely have himself a game here, but man, I'm not a fan of Neesmith at all, like you mentioned, and yeah, this team's just got a lot of do nothings here on the starting five. So I mean, you have to trust the ones who've at least been productive so far. So keep it between Turner, Siakam, and Halliburton.
Yep, I'm with you on that. And before we get out of here, I guess the Detroit Brooklyn game. This one should be a barn burner, right? Like, oh my gosh. I assume it's a close spread. Yep, 2-point spread and a whopping 215 total. Is Sharp out again? Let's see real quick.
No, looks
Okay.
like Ben Simmons and Cam Thomas.
Okay, he's iffy, questionable. So he was out last game. With him being out last game, Claxton played all the minutes he could handle. He played almost 33 minutes. I think it had to be near a season high 17 points. It was a favorable matchup against Philly, but he gets another favorable matchup against Detroit. Durant has one of the worst defensive ratings of all starting centers in the league, and massive block upside for him with how active Durant is. Last game, Claxton's fantasy was at 35.5. Any interest if it's around the same line? Or you want Sharp to be out to really secure those minutes?
Yeah, Sharp being out would be nice. I think even if they open the fantasy line at something reasonable, I might still play it in the dark with or without Sharp news. But definitely keep an eye out for I'll say his first half fantasy for sure, because that's when Durant's also been the most active. He, as long as he keeps his hands to himself here, I definitely think there's a really, really high fantasy upside, and probably. I think even for Claxton, he's been getting to the free throw line a little bit more lately. So I'm kind of curious to see how PrizePicks will play this out, because him in particular, his free throw is usually at 1.5. So I'm curious if they'll dance with props here and give us back at 1.5, or what they do for this team.
Yeah, he's been getting to the line a lot too, as of late. So I wouldn't mind that for sure. And then any other free throw props we should look out for? I guess Mikal, but he's been taking so many threes. I looked up his stats recently. Last year, he was driving to the basket at a much higher clip, and especially when he was on the Suns, his inside the near the rim and inside the paint, it was like doubled to his 3-point volume. But since joining the Nets, his 3-point volume has doubled his drives. So he is primarily shooting from the outside, and he's shooting very poorly. He's playing he's just playing bad overall. But been taking his unders a lot. I wouldn't do it in this matchup against Detroit. But yeah, just something to think about. Besides Clax, I can't think of anyone else in a good favorable free throw spot here. And Schroeder, I never play him, even though it's a good spot for him. Any interest in the Detroit guys?
Probably not, man. I mean, they've been so appropriately priced like every game now. It's maybe on Cade, his 7.5 assists. I know it's kind of high, but he's still living somewhere in that high, 13.5 to 15 potentials a game. He could definitely get there. The pace and the overall game total probably is not going to be that astounding. It's not going to be that favorable. But Isaiah Stewart, his first half PRA has been pretty low since coming back. I don't mind it because he's been chucking a little bit more, but man, he is not a comfortable click. Like this, I don't know. This whole team is just so weird in the first half. Like they just look so out of sync.
Yeah, I agree.
I will say that this is probably the lowest that Duran's first half PRA has been in a little while, 13.5.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind it. We can add it. Even through the first half here. Yeah. I think tomorrow's gonna be good for fantasy in some of these spots with guys being out, potentially that are already ruled out. a lot of guys that we talked about. Probably would want guys fantasy like Bam or Jimmy here in this matchup against Dallas. PJ Washington should have himself a game from the 3-point line against the Heat, who I'll just keep giving up threes as well. Yeah, board's pretty ugly as of now. I mean, from what we talked about, it's probably some of the better options that are available. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll probably keep the board pretty tight right now since with the back-to-back teams and some of these pending injuries. Because we could definitely get hit with a wild slate and have a bunch of midday Q tags. I mean, there's already a handful of injury waiting on right now, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I will say, just kind of lastly, notice value-wise, Jaylen Brown, his first half PRA, they have it all the way down to 15. I mean, he's been 17 and a half for the last 3 or 4 slates in a row. So he could definitely, sit DMP, but value-wise, it's kind of low.
It is. But he got injured he got a second injury last game.
Yeah. I'm worried about him actually sitting.
And he actually didn't. They're not showing it on here. They're not showing his last game, right? He actually did not play well especially in the first half, because in the Warriors game he injured his knee. He was questionable. Forget, who do they play again? They played Cleveland, right? Yeah, Cleveland.
Yeah.
Injured his knee in the Warriors game. He was questionable for the Cleveland game. Ended up playing. But then I heard afterwards after the game that he still kind of felt a little bit pain in the knee. And on top of that, in that Cleveland game, he injured his pelvis. And so now he's dealing with a pelvis and a knee injury and has a questionable tag. Something to think about. Even if he ends up playing, that's kind of worrisome. If you got a guy who is dealing with 2 injuries and struggled open the game against the Cavs. I don't remember. What did he finish with? 10 PRA or something like that? I can't remember.
Yeah, something around 10 to 11.
Yeah. Something to think about, but I agree, it's low. I'll never forget that one weekend. I think it was 3 weeks ago. They had it at 12.5. That made no sense, but yeah, it is low. But he's the only guy on the board because he is the only guy questionable on the team. So I'm curious to see what Porzingis fantasy opens at. Massive stock upside against a highly active Jokic. So if Jaylen Brown's out, you definitely can consider Porzingis' fantasy here. You have a massive uptick in usage, and then obviously having to deal with Jokic. Same thing we did when we took Nurk's fantasy 2 nights ago. Or last night. Yeah, we'll have to look into. I feel like there's some good flip props we can get into. I think Jokic being at 8.5 assists, we could probably jump on that before it bumps to 9.5 on the books and Fliff. I think he'll dish it out a lot here, not having to deal with Porzingis down low and Horford. Yeah, we'll have to look into that a little bit more. And checking the RA. I like to check the RA for potential seer. Yeah. Okay. Nothing crazy standing out, but yeah, maybe I'll hop back on later if I find some flip plays and just share them. and if anything else drops later. And then maybe we'll try to catch back up tomorrow on stream. It's just hard during the afternoon. It just depends on the schedule. But if there's any crazy value that pops up, we'll try to hop on and share it.
Yeah, it sounds like a
Sound
plan.
good? All right, man. Good work today. And if you want more of our plays, join our Discord in the description below. If you're a new viewer or hopping in for the first time, all the plays that I shared earlier in the video, all of them were posted and shared with the community. So definitely join the team. Me, E, and others work together to come up with this stuff, and yeah, it's all teamwork and good community. So trying to keep growing and more minds working together, the better, right? To attack the bookies. So, all right, you got anything else, or call it a night?
No, I think that's gonna be it for the night. You know, like you said, great work, man, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. Look forward to it.
All right, guys. Peace.